Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners. Today we have another episode from our series of Fallujah bonus content. These episodes are part of our 20th anniversary of Fallujah II Operation Phantom Fury programming. These bonus episodes are the full-length interviews we have been collecting for our 20th anniversary documentary of Fallujah II, which is out now on our YouTube channel. So please check that out. All these interviews were so good, we didn't want them to just sit in our archive, so we decided to launch them as individual episodes of our show. This episode is with Colonel Michael Del Palazzo. Colonel Del Palazzo was a combat advisor to the Iraqi army during the battle. Here is the third episode of our bonus content for our 20th anniversary of Fallujah II series. Enjoy! All right, I'm here with Mike Del Palazzo. Just for context, Mike and I go back to 1998. We met each other at TBS. Mike is currently a colonel in the Marine Forces Reserve, but we were second lieutenants together. And they told us, hey, the barracks aren't done being renovated.
Right.
You guys all need to find a place to live. And so our mutual friend, Francis Dufresne, was like, hey, here's my friend Mike, man. He's really cool. Let's go get a place to live.
That's exactly how he talks, and I'm not that cool.
Well, you were very cool, and we made the mistake of actually looking at the houses before we decided to rent them, and they were all rented before. So we just picked something that was left and then end up out in Dale City.
It was a straight, straight TBS move where a captain comes out. He's like, all right, listen up. The barracks you thought were ready are not ready. And looks at his watch, and he's like, you got 30 minutes left to chow to go find a place. Go. And then literally that's when
300 lieutenants just like...
Franny's like, hey, this is my buddy Vic.
Yeah.
And then...
Somehow we ran into Strasbourg.
Yeah, and
like,
literally
hey,
got turned down at like every realty place. Like, sorry, we're
already,
full. There was 10 other people here 7 minutes ago. And so, we get to live with each other.
In Dale City, which was actually a blessing in disguise being that far away.
This whole talk is going to devolve into like after TBS hours, drinking beers with,
yeah, it really was
Platoon.
The Bad News Bears because we had Abakirov, who was the Kazakhstani exchange student.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we couldn't stay in the barracks because our room was assigned to him.
Right.
And he got the whole thing. So again, like we couldn't even have crashed there if we wanted to.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Okay, so for the sake of the legitimacy of the auto recording, if you wouldn't mind saying your name, your current rank, current billet, and then what your rank and billet were at the time of Operation Al-Fajr.
Yeah. Colonel Michael Del Palazzo, Marine Corps Reserve. I'm the commanding officer for Marine Corps Advisor Company Alpha in Washington, D.C. At the time, in 2004, I was Captain Del Palazzo. I was the program manager for training systems. I forget what my billet was, but I was basically like an acquisitions officer.
Were you down in Orlando? Were you in Orlando?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was down in Orlando at PM Tracis, living the good life as a single, newly promoted captain. Life was...
That is a good life, actually.
It was good. It was good, yeah.
So why don't we rewind a little bit? What led you to join the Marine Corps? I know one of the things that we've always laughed about and sort of bonded over was just the fact that we like grew up with G.I. Joes or always out in the woods. Our favorite days as kids were, hitting our friends with sticks and, playing guns and all that stuff. So, what brought you to the Corps?
That's it. No family members in the Marine Corps or even in the military, not immediate family, dad, anybody like that. But, man, growing up in the 80s, G.I. Joe, I blame Red Dawn.
Oh, dude, yes. That really was quite the recruiting tool.
Yeah. So...
everybody wanted... Well, did you want to be Swayze or did you want to be Charlie Sheen?
Neither. I wanted to be the Air Force captain.
Oh, yeah. Powers Booth.
100%,
nice.
Man.
Yeah.
It's like...
I wanted to be C. Thomas Howell, the guy who just loses it and then just starts like skinning people alive.
Yeah. Pick the guy off in the hind with an RPG. I'm like, no, hit the center mass, not the person, motherfucker. Like, but yeah. So Red Dawn, I was, running around in my backyard, face paint on,
Yeah.
scaring the neighbors, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
And we're talking Jersey, right?
Yeah, I grew up in New Jersey. That's where I draw half of my personality.
Yeah. And you OSO'd out of Philly, though, right?
Yeah, also Philly. So the anecdotal story of why I became a Marine, I guess, is my older brother was a big influence. Like he had all the military things, all the models. I grew up like playing with the model tanks and the jets and stuff like that. And he eventually did go into the Marine Corps too. But the fun story is like I guess I was just so much into it that I just made up my mind in high school, and I did call the OSO. And I remember the conversation I had with him. I was like, I was a senior in high school, and I knew I wanted to be an officer, etc. And I'm talking to him like, sir, how do I, where do I start? He's like, well, hey, you gotta finish high school first and start college. That's probably what you need to do first. And he explained to me I needed to go through a year of college before I started OCS. And I'm like, fuck, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. You did so you did PLC combined, right?
No, I did juniors and seniors.
You did seniors, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, that combined was the full. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's got to be tough, man. After 6 weeks of that, another summer having to get back on the bus.
Well, you and I think of it as tough, but I think my mindset there, like I was like looking forward. I was chomping at the bit to go. I wanted to go sooner.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was just like, no, I want to go. Like, let's do it. And his captain, he was an EA6 guy. He was trying to explain. He's like, no, you got to understand. This is actually going to work out better for you. You're starting as a freshman in college, so your pay entry base date's going to be this, and just I'm like, fuck that, man. Let's fucking do this. What do we do? And then I transferred to a different school, and then the other also gave zero fucks. Like he never called me, and I'm just, it was just all piss and vinegar from a 20-year-old kid drive to go be a Marine.
Man, that's great. That's so true about. Like, these guys might be neighboring districts, but it could be a completely different, 100% different sort of approach to it. So you and I then again lived together in 29 Palms. So your first fleet tour was at First Tanks. Mm-hmm. Where did you go from there?
So, good times. I forgot about that Yucca Valley house.
Yeah, so we get... Yeah, Joshua Tree, we had that Yucca Valley apartment for a minute, and then we moved out to that Joshua Tree place out in.
I'd be remiss if I didn't tell the Medal of Honor story. Not anybody winning the Medal of Honor, playing it on PlayStation 1. Yeah. Where like I checked into First Tanks, and I guess this is now for posterity. Like all those guys, like checked into First Tanks. Vic and I, like as we lived together, like. You were like, hey, did you check in? I'm like, yeah, they don't have any platoon. Like, I got to go sit in the S4, and nobody cares. There's some lieutenant in charge of me. He didn't fucking even want me there. And then Medal of Honor came out on PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
And did you remember? Like, I started playing it one day, and
yeah, I don't think you left the house for like 3 or 4 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not. And you came in. I remember I was through the night too. Like you came in from work. You're like, still playing DP? I'm like, yeah. Got up, still playing. I'm like, yeah, man. Came home. What the fuck?
Yeah. So then I jumped on that. I got that opportunity to go south to 29 Palms. Yeah. So where did you go? So you were at First Tanks. Did you go straight to Orlando from there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the battalion XO he loved his Marines, and he knew where to he was figuring out where the different Marines needed to go or should go. And he helped me get to Orlando. I wasn't targeting it, but he's like, you're single, you're going to Orlando. I'm like, okay, fine. What is that? So I ended up at program manager for training systems. I was the combat vehicle training systems I forget what my title was, but basically the subject matter expert to work between the government, civilians, the acquisition experts, and industry, Lockheed Martin, to be like, yeah, this thing needs to do this, needs to do this. So I was widely hated by the Lockheed Martin folks because I kept
Yeah.
telling them that nobody wants to play Atari.
Right. Yeah, that's again, just like with OSOs, they can go one or two ways, depending on the developer and the vendor. And so, how did you end up then jumping on? I'm assuming you jumped on an IA billet then out of there.
Yeah, so um, for OF1,
Yeah.
where you were at, like I was sitting on my couch watching it on, whatever news network. And so a weird moment was, and I can remember it pretty vividly, was, you know, um, everybody knows most Americans our age can remember the Marine putting the flag over Saddam's face on the
Mm-hmm.
statue and pulling the
Pulls
statue
that
down.
down. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Lance Corporal Chin. He was Bravo Company First Tanks, my company that I was in. And seeing that on the news was just like, oh my God. I called my buddy Phil and I'm
Filth.
like, yeah, filthy. So he was also on his B billet at 8th and I, and we were missing the war. We weren't where we needed to be. And I'm like, hey, you watching this shit? He's like, yeah, that's Bravo Company. That's 88. And I'm like, yep. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, drinking. I'm like, same. He's like, all right, I'll talk to you later. So the next, maybe not the next day, but like during that period, I called the first tank, like before they left, I called the first tanks battalion CO. I remember, because I remember this from my old interview from the history division from 2004. I forgot about this, but I actually called Colonel Chartier, and I think I remember talking to him directly. And I'm like, "Sir, where do you need me? I'll come back. Like, let me come back." And he said, "Sorry, DP, we got too many chiefs, not enough Indians." And so when I saw that on CNN and everything going down, I went into literally one day. It's an office building. It's cubicles,
Yeah.
I knocked on the colonel, Marine colonel, on his hatch, and he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Sir, I need to get out there." It was probably like right in the right towards the end, like at the end of 2003, maybe. I can't remember.
End of 03.
I think so, because like, when were you guys like? When did you
Yeah,
guys take
so it was
Baghdad?
March 19th that we started off, and then I think they ended hostilities sometime in April. But then obviously there was a bunch of shit that went on all the way until like June, July.
April 2004.
No,
What you're saying?
of three.
Okay.
So then everybody comes back. I think everybody was like boots on the ground back like September of 03.
Okay.
And I had gone to Atlanta to recruit, and then so they're like bringing gear back and stuff. And I think that's when the OIF two folks already knew, like, hey, we're in the chute, like we're already going back out. Because do you remember my buddy Mike Hunziker?
Yeah.
He was with was it 3-5 during the push, and then already moved over to be I want to say it was Bravo Company XO, and then they were gone, I think at the end of 03 or right at the beginning of 04. So he ended up Al Qaim during Fallujah I. He was out in Al Qaim.
Good times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knocked on my CO's door. He was the program manager for training systems, full board colonel, and I remember saying, "Sir, I need to get out there."
This would have been like winter of 03 then.
Yeah, it's probably fall time frame.
Okay.
And I was like, I need to get out there. That's where I need to be. I was a scout platoon commander. I know my scouts are out there. I need to get out there. And he's like, okay. And he's kind of looking at me like I'm crazy. And I went back to my desk and I didn't forget about it. But then he came to me. It's like January, February of 04. And he walks over to my cubicle. I'm like probably half asleep, not doing shit. And he's like, "Hey, you're going." I'm like, "I'm sorry." I'm like,
to Subway to pick up sale?
Yeah, he's like, "You're going. Hope your shit's packed." And I'm like, "Okay, sir." He's like, "I'll send you the message. They need individual augments, so you're on the list." I'm like, okay, great. It's fucking over, isn't it? Are we done?
Yeah. No, that was a thing. Yeah.
It was an absolute thing. We're like, no, it's fucking, we're done. The message, I think it was a solicitation. The request was for specifically the 1800s, 18 tankers, etc. I thought, I'm like, all right, cool. I'll go teach Iraqis how to tank.
Yeah.
I'm like, that sounds cool. Not.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's not what it ended up to be. So by April of 04, well, in between that, basically, the more I learned was, okay, no, we need advisors to go and really, whatever they called it then was to go and advise, but really what it was to build from the ground up the Iraqi army. So that was my job. And by April of 04, I was in Iraq.
And then, so you didn't do any workups or anything with whatever you...
There was a workup, and
it?
it wasn't too bad. So what they did is they took the East Coast guys and they sent them to Quantico.
Okay.
And they put together a kind of like an ad hoc package, an ad hoc advisor package. And what's MINSTICKY? It's Multinational Security Training Command -Iraq. Stood up. So they started piecing all this joint service. A lot of
just like Frankenstein.
It was. We're gonna get into this. It was a fucking dumpster fire. It's bad.
But all you guys are basically converging on Quantico within about a week's time period.
We did our work up in Quantico, and there was actually some decent training. They did have. The money started coming in. They took us to the FBI track to do the FBI driving course. We did foreign military weapons at a weapons training battalion. And then we got some advisor SMEs to come in and talk to us. Bing West.
But the advisor mission back then was very different than what it is that you ended up doing, though, right? Like, so even those guys, I mean, how could they really put themselves in your position? Or
no, they were pretty good.
Oh, well, because okay,
mostly Vietnam guys.
Oh, okay. Like the cap dudes.
Yep.
Okay.
And so one of the things I do remember is Bing West come talk to us, and we're sitting in this classroom. It's fucking Bing, right? And so we did have some decent advisor training, but not the type that you would. You got to be. It's not an individual augment thing. You should be screened to be an advisor and have Marines are not we're not.
Yeah.
So anyway, Bing West is standing in front of us, and I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" At the time, who the fuck is this guy? But I remember him standing in front of this ad hoc group of Marines who had zero advisor interest and experience.
Right.
And he's talking to us, and he's. One of the things he said is, of course, the thing that most Marine leaders say when you're going to war is like, hey, look around. Some of you aren't coming back. I'm like looking at my buddy. I'm like, yeah.
Is it you?
It's like that scene from Stripes. It's like,
yeah.
It's not me. But unfortunately, he was right. And I don't think the gravity of what Iraq became over the next however many years was on us at the time, but it started to become evident because that's when honestly, like April 2004, that's when the violence, in my mind, started really ratcheting up.
Yeah. Well, that was the beginning of Vigilant Resolve, aka Fallujah I. So you're in Iraq. What month did you show up?
April of 2004, and then I left in December of 2004.
Okay. So were you there post Vigilant Resolve then? Or
so that's basically the first Battle of Fallujah.
Yeah.
That was all going on, and
I guess take us through. So you landed where? TQ?
We went to Taji.
Okay.
So Camp Taji was a huge army base.
Yes, Baghdad, like kind of North Baghdad.
Yeah, if I could point it out on a map, but Taji was that was the place where all the advisors had come. There was the headquarters, and basically what we were doing there was no Iraqi army. There was nothing. Like there was literally nothing.
Mm-hmm.
There was one battalion which actually made headlines right around the time that we got there, which was the Iraqi Intervention Force. The Iraqi Intervention Force was basically what they could pull together in a single battalion, not like a military or Marine Corps battalion. But when we got there, literally, the Marines were advisors to the 1st Iraqi Intervention Force Battalion. And what made headlines, and I talked to the guys who experienced this, was on their first mission, they got ambushed. And literally, I know I could probably find it on Google, whatever. But the Marines had a good amount of the Iraqis just abandon ship, literally just leave their truck in the middle of an ambush and run. And it was pretty bad. And that was a huge news story. And I want to say it was right around the April, May time frame. And those guys were right with us in Taji, and they were doing what we were getting prepared to go do. And we're like, fuck.
Yeah. Actually, I spent was it a week or maybe 2 weeks at Taji during workups. They sent me and one or two other Marines from my company there to go through the transition advisor course.
Mm-hmm.
And which is a great course. They had, I think Kilcullen came and talked to us and all this stuff. It was really, really well done. But yeah, every day we would see the convoys coming in just fucking lit up. And it was an army base. So, it was all army stuff. But, man, they had the new stuff like the Rhino counter IED stuff and all the whatever the Halo, the umbrella.
All the shit that we didn't have?
Yeah, all the shit that we didn't have, yeah. And they were still getting lit. Yeah. They were getting lit up. Every convoy that would come in was just had at least one vehicle that was pretty beat up. Anyways, so I was like, oh man.
No thanks.
Welcome. Yeah. Okay, so you're in Camp Taji Army Base. There's a Mardet there, or how's that?
Well, we belong to Minsticky, and it was just basically like it was a joint command, and I believe I think General Petraeus actually led that initially. So we're part of a joint command. There's Army officers, a lot of Marines, and we were just assigned. Basically, what we eventually became in Taji was just onboarding for these Iraqi former Army, maybe some civilians, and we were doing everything, marching them to chow, all the shit that you never wanted to do as a Marine. And that experience in Taji was awful, because looking back on it and listening to my old interview from 2004, I'm like, holy shit, like they did the worst thing they could ever do, because they brought all these Iraqis in. And I remember telling a story about how everything about the Iraqi army and the Iraqis that were part of it were like, it was all about pay. They just
that was it. Yeah.
They wanted to get paid. They wanted to feed their families. They didn't give a shit. Like 99% didn't give a shit about what was going on.
Right.
So it was always, where's my pay? Where's my leave? And I remember a story. It was visceral for all of us who experienced it. We brought Iraqis in, we were housing them, and we were marching them chow, et cetera, and somebody within the chain of command on the Iraqi side told them, hey, go to leave. You're on leave till whenever. And they scattered and left destruction in their wake in the barracks. And the Marine Lieutenant Colonel who's in charge of us is like, all right, fuckers, get in the barracks, time to clean up. And the advisors who were going to go lead these guys in combat eventually were charged with literally cleaning up human feces, all the waste, and everything that you can imagine. Like I'm 25, my brain's not fully formed.
Yeah.
I'm like, these motherfuckers just cleaning up shit. And then, unfortunately, the animosity started to build up for these people. You don't even know them yet, but you're supposed to train with them and literally go into combat with them, which we did. Not the same ones, but you're already like, these motherfuckers cleaning up. It was
You guys
bad.
have linguists with you?
Yeah, we all had interpreters, mostly locals.
Yeah.
And
they bailed too, or they hung out?
if I remember, I don't remember too many interpreters from Taji. I definitely remember actually just talked with my buddy from Fallujah, Mohammed, American citizen. But we had guys that could translate.
And then, so clearly this wasn't there was no honeymoon phase for you guys coming in. Were you the first cadre to come in, or did you do a rip toa at all?
It really wasn't a rip toa, but we were the second group of Marine advisors. The first guys who were on deck were the guys I was talking about who got into that ambush and made national news. And so we were like the second group to come in, and we did get assigned to the Iraqi Intervention Force eventually.
Did they have any TTPs for you as they're leaving out? I can only imagine what they
most of it was just driving to Chow and talking. You know, it wasn't a very systems approach to being like, all right, here's what you need. Like, just like any Marine situation, battle, etc. You had nothing to work with. Very few.
So you weren't given a ton of information, and you're kind of getting stuck in this like very sort of lopsided relationship. No one's really prepared you for any of the dynamics. When did you start getting word? Or did you already know, based on your TEEP, when you were going to, no kidding, be like forward deployed with these guys in combat zones?
What we did was, because there were so many different things going on in the country at the time, the next big thing that kicked off was our unit, which was assigned to, I think, the 2nd Battalion of the Iraqi Intervention Force, was sent to An-Numaniya.
Yeah.
A very isolated place in the middle of nowhere. That was a place to do training with this battalion, get them up and get them ready. But at that time, Najaf was starting to kick off too with Muqtada al-Sadr in that city, 13th Mu. So when we were in An-Numaniya, I'll spare you the dynamics because it's not that interesting. But basically, there was a few of us, the Marines, who I don't want to say hated the Iraqis, but had a significant disdain just because of the crazy cultural dynamics. They're not Marines, right? And then we had not the best leadership as well. And it just became a fucking quagmire in An-Numaniya. And I remember being in this building, and we had some phone lines in there, but we were pretty much isolated, no support, no medevac, no nothing. And we were all trying to figure out, like, how do we get, like, all of us wanted to get to the fight. We had literally 2 reserve NCOs that were like, fuck this. Like, they were on orders. They did the individual augment thing. Like, this is not what we signed up for. We signed up to, like, locate, close, destroy the enemy by maneuver and fire. And this fucking sucks. I'm out of here. They dropped to the IRR in country.
No shit. I didn't even know you could do that.
Done. Right? So I'm telling you that morale was rather low.
Probably from both sides, too. I'm sure the Iraqis 100%. Are feeling it, too.
Yeah, they fucking didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So I remember there were 2 majors, and I remember being in their office. It was really just their room that they barricaded themselves in during a period of time, but they had a phone line. And I remember they got a call while I was in the room. We were having like a meeting, and they hung up the phone. They're like, so we're going to need a couple of volunteers because they need advisors in Najaf, and they need some augments. They lost guys, et cetera, et cetera. And as he's talking, like, everybody's looking around the room like, I'm fucking going. I will kill you, and I will fucking get there before you fucking volunteer. And thankfully, they hated me. So I was easily one of the volunteers to get out of their AO. So I went to Najaf, and I integrated with I think that's actually where I integrated with the 2nd Battalion, the Iraqi Intervention
You personally,
Force.
Not your team, but you personally?
Yeah. So the whole team, did not go. It was actually me and First Sergeant George Erb, who volunteered and were voluntold to go.
Yeah.
And we went and we integrated with the guys in Najaf.
And this is a completely different group of Iraqis too.
Completely different group of Iraqis, different group of advisors, new environment. At that point in time, we got integrated into Najaf. Basically died out because the Marine Corps, 13th, they were planning a full-on assault to the Imam Ali Mosque because it was batshit. But what had happened prior with the Army units there, after the battle is like most of it simmered down to the point of like, okay, we don't need to do a full-on assault. So we were there for the cleanup. We were there for a lot of the, after action type stuff, a lot of patrolling in the city and shit.
But
like
you're
that.
essentially getting to know your guys like literally as you're operating with them.
Yeah, 100%.
And what was your sort of impression between the two? So you had these guys that you'd brought up from quite literally the ground up and were training in Numanaya, and now you're down with like actual dudes who are experiencing combat.
Yeah.
In Najaf. I mean, was there a difference? Could you tell, or?
Looking back on it, the reality is, and especially in the context of Fallujah as well, it's more like you throw them in the fire, they're gonna perform, or not. They're gonna run, or they're gonna perform.
Right.
The ones who perform are gonna be there. So that's what I saw in Najaf. There was not significant there wasn't really combat per se. We actually were moved again because I stuck with those guys, and then we went to Baghdad. We went to Sadr City, and that's really where we saw, like a lot of whatever you want to call it, action, IEDs, all that shit. Because Army AO,
yep,
in Sadr City, and we were part of a lot of different operations. There was at the time, I think one of General Abrams' sons was a BCT commander, and he was in charge of Sadr City. So we took part in an operation, I think it was called Rolling Thunder. There was a couple soldiers that were killed, and when we went to Sadr City, that was a new phase of like, you're actually operating with these guys, and you're definitely in the thick of it. We had route security outside of Sadr City. They threw the Iraqis on that, and we got to do the racetrack 24/7 of I think it was Route Pluto. That was some shit. It was not fun, and that was where we started being like, okay, this is the job. Here we are, like driving around in Terracans, Nissan trucks, shit like that.
That's right, yeah, Bongo trucks and stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, that was fun. That was all the lead up basically to Fallujah, because that was like summertime frame.
Yeah. Yeah. So
then,
when do you get the word that, hey, you guys are heading up north?
Well, so like, mind you, like I'm completely separated from the initial team that I got there with.
Mm-hmm.
So we're me and the first sergeant are on our own. We're doing this thing with our new
just
band of friends.
Yeah.
Right. So there's Marines there. There's Army National Guard. There's active duty Army. There's active duty Marines. But we're just kind of like the stray cats, and we're fucking over it. We want to go home. We're done. Like and so probably October timeframe in it's not I think we're in Camp Rustamia was the name or Cuervo. I'm sorry, Rustamia was on farther north. So we're in Camp Cuervo, and the Marine Colonel, whose name escapes me right now, grabbed me and he's like, "Hey, so you see what's going on in Fallujah, and I know you're ready to go home, but we need you to stick around." And I'm like, what the fuck am I going to say to a colonel?
Yeah.
Like, okay, sir. And so we went from disgruntled with low morale to even more disgruntled. And we're like, okay, we're going to fucking Fallujah. Great.
And this is what, September, October timeframe?
Probably October timeframe, because I mean, they weren't advertising like widely, but at the same time, everybody kind of knew it was going to go on.
And so when people who are familiar with the Marines or veterans who are listening to this understand movement, it's all very organized. You have no kidding sticks. that associate people with vehicles, and there's routes, and there's. How does that work then for you guys moving Iraqis up there? Is it you guys are just sort of space A on somebody else's and then hope to see you guys up there? You know where you're supposed to be?
If I can borrow the term, it's kind of like fucking a bobcat in a phone booth. Marine Staff NCO term. It was fucking batshit. And I've got a picture of when they told the Iraqis. Because the deal is...
Because these are, I mean, just for the dynamic's sake, these are Shias, right? These are mostly guys from Baghdad.
Yeah.
And they're going into like Sunni Central,
I've got a fun story before we went into Fallujah about the Shias getting fired up about going into Fallujah. But yes, generally, most of the soldiers were Shia. So, but
for them to find out that they're being ordered to go up to this area, were they freaking out? Or
I don't think anybody was super excited. You know,
party.
Yeah, sweet. But we did the best we could to get everybody together. We had these, I think they're called Leland trucks, you know, these huge, they're not armored for shit.
Right.
And we're like, we got to move. We're going to do this movement. And we knew like that route just fucking, we're like, this is not going to be fun. This is going to suck. And so we loaded everybody up and we got on the road. I remember there's indirect. I think there were some IEDs. We didn't take any casualties. My battalion. I know there were other guys who did in the different movement in the different orders. But when we got there, you know, what was interesting and fun was that part of being a Marine advisor with the Iraqis is that you're not really treated like a Marine from other Marines. Because the Iraqis show up and you're there and they're like, oh, these motherfuckers. Like, and that's exactly what happened when we got to Camp Fallujah. Like, we were not permitted on the inside of Camp Fallujah. We had a separate camp on the outside.
Still within like the HESCO perimeter?
No.
Or no?
No.
So you guys didn't even get through the ECP. You guys were just
no.
off to the side.
No.
Some shanty
They're
town.
like, oh, these fucking pigs. Oh, we got a place for you. And Shantytown is actually too nice because there was nothing built. It was just sand. And we roll up to this thing and like, okay, here you go. But don't worry, we got contractors that come out. They're going to build you tents. We got it squared away. And it's just like one of the, like so many different instances of you're looking around like, what the fuck? And I'm doing air quotes, contractors rolled up and basically just, you know, plotted points for indirect and mean mugged us the whole fucking time.
No way.
There's nothing we could do about it.
Yeah.
I mean, mean mugging us while we're fucking like, you know, and we got these tents set up outside of Camp Fallujah. And
they're just jotting down the 10.
Wouldn't you know it? Like standing in one of those tents less than 4 hours later, and everybody knows that sound, hit the deck, and they took out, I think, 2 tents on the first day we were fucking there, and a couple of casualties, and we're like, okay, here we are, woo, outcasts.
Jeez. The official dates of Fallujah II or Operation Al-Fajr or Phantom Fury is November 7th, I think, to December 23rd. You guys get there in October-ish. So, I mean, you got a few weeks. Are they integrating you into rehearsals, or are you meeting with the RCT commanders, or are you literally just sitting there making sure, one, these guys don't go UA, and then secondly, waiting for someone to tell you what the fuck to do?
All of the above.
All the
Yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me. So, yeah, obviously we're trying to make sure that they're, you know, the Iraqis are staying in line, trying to do whatever we can rehearsal wise, TTP wise, but also talking with the RCT staff because we were attached to RCT 1. And there are 2 memories when you say like rehearsals, training, and planning that come to mind. And the first one was being in Camp Fallujah, because we drive over and go take part in, the planning and et cetera with the staff. And I remember it could have even been maybe Colonel Chiasani, or it could have been, it could have been even Colonel Shupp, RCT-1 commander, where I think he looked at me and he'd be like, "Hey, are these guys ready? Can we put them up front?" And having been through what I really didn't go into detail with, the Iraqi death blossom, the complete lack of any type of military discipline, and I said, "Sir, I don't think that's a good idea. I don't know about being upfront and integrated." Looking back on it, wrong answer for me as a captain, because I should have said, you put these fuckers up front, and they will perform, and we'll handle it. My mistake. But
you mean you should have said that because it was true, or because
it was the right thing?
Right thing to say.
And looking back, it was true.
Okay.
Having on the other side on the east side of the city, they had decent, I wouldn't say overwhelming success with putting the Iraqis integrated with the Marines, but that's man. Looking back on it, like, hey, it's your fucking country.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's one of the things that came to mind. I remember being in that room and saying, "I don't think that's a good idea." And he said, "Well, what can we do with them?" And what had eventually happened was, on the west side of the city for RCT-1, my company that I was with ended up being behind 3-1, which was behind Army Cav 2-7. And we basically did clear and hold after the first two increments of the Army and the Marines were through. So it's the first thing that comes to mind as far as like planning, etc. But the other thing that comes to mind was like, every opportunity to like figure out how we can get arranged, get something done, to prep these guys and to prep us was a very surreal experience, because there were all these burnt out buildings and destroyed things, and there's plenty of training areas, right?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't have to schedule. And one of the Kurds who had a Dragunov, he wanted to go figure out how to
a Kurd, like he was Kurdish.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted to go figure out how to hone his sniper skills. And I'm like rolling my eyes. I'm like, all right. I take my interpreter, and I'm like, because I like the guy and he had a hell of a lot more spirit than everybody else. I'm like, well, all right, I'm not going to turn down this initiative. And I think probably we figured out a training area we can go, and we got some rounds, go dial in this Dragunov and teach him some, basically not sniper skill, but basically shooting fundamentals,
Yeah.
And there was only like 3 or 4 of us out there, and such a surreal experience. No idea what battalion, what company, but these grunts showed up, and they were doing no shit rehearsals. And these fucking warriors, man, there was something like weird about being out there, because I remember it was dark, and it was like the foreshadowing of like fucking the apocalypse. These fucking warriors showed up, and these young kids were like, it's indescribable how fucking like focused, professional, and no bullshit. Like, because you've hung out with Marines for decades,
Mm-hmm.
Marines smoke and joke. They're just fucking around. These guys were fucking focused, and they descended on this group of buildings like close to us, and we're just kicking off fucking rehearsals, clearing rooms, getting after it. And there wasn't the standard grab ass, and what I mean? It was in the air.
Okay.
And I just remember that, like, and there was nobody to share it with. It's just like, all right.
That's an interesting thing. I mean, there's a lot there that I think is super interesting. But I guess the idea of there being a Kurd, I probably should have asked this earlier. What was the sort of the makeup of the Iraqis that you'd had?
To be very honest with you, because of who I was at the time, I didn't really give a shit to know.
Okay.
But the truth is like there was a small Kurd population, mostly Shia, every now and then you would have I would have a conversation with a legit former Iraqi army officer, one who wanted to tell me how the T-72 was far better than the M1A1.
Yeah, that played out well.
Yeah. So fun conversations like that. But for the most part, the majority of the Iraqi soldiers were, whether they had a military background or not, they were guys that were there for a paycheck and had very little interest in what we thought that they should have interest in. Is like,
Right.
you're fighting for your country. This is it was not even there.
Right. And were these Kurds, were they from Baghdad? Like just had, sort of immigrated down, or were they actually from the north coming down to fight?
I mean, if it was me now, I'd probably know and learn about that. But we just knew them as the Kurds, and they were a sect of unto
so were they
themselves.
ostracized by the other?
100%.
Yeah, okay.
Like, in Fallujah, I remember being part of what I'd refer to as an NJP, and there's this Kurd just getting wore out, and like, what are we gonna fucking do?
Yeah.
Like outside, like grab him like a, when he comes out, and be like, all right, brother, I got your back. But I've got some interesting like anecdotal stories during Fallujah about actually clearing buildings with the Kurds and some crazy motherfuckers.
Yeah. So it's like super interesting because all of the units I ever dealt with were fairly homogenous. So the idea that you had like variations is pretty cool. But what about with your linguists? You said you're still friends with one of them now.
Well, so one of our interpreters had multiple call signs, but his name was Muhammad. And I called him Mo just because it was fun, and he's just like, so I'll give him as an example, but I'll give you the overview about the interpreters generally. Like, obviously educated and, good people. There was much more of them doing something for their country or for whatever,
right?
The greater good than any
more of a patriotism,
sure,
sort of vibe,
altruistic, etc. But just to use an example for Mo, amazing human being. Like, this guy had more courage than it's pretty indescribable, because he was doing things that the Iraqi army wouldn't be willing to do. And I'll give you an example. And I just, like, based off of you talking to me about this interview, like I told you, I just made contact with him for the first time in like 20 years. He's an American citizen. He lives in Kentucky and has family. And I mean, like, that's just like an amazing thing to think about, because this guy was with us in Baghdad. He was with us in Sadr City, made the trip up to Fallujah, was with us in Fallujah. And I remember actually being back in Sadr City, and all of a sudden Fox News shows up. They just appear. Hey, Fox News is here. They want to interview an Iraqi soldier. So they want to make sure the message gets back that the Iraqis their hearts are in it, and of course we asked, the Iraqis, and they're like, huh? Doing that fucking shit. Like, nobody. And rightly so, because their face goes on the American news. American news is broadcast in Iraq, and their families getting either persecuted or killed. And I'm like, well, no shit, it's not going to happen. So we're literally there with the team, with the Fox News team, and Muhammad goes, I'll do it. And I'm like, I look over, I'm like, no, you're not fucking doing this. He's like, no, I'm going to do it. I'm like, he's like, give me a uniform, give me an AK. I'm like, and the Fox News guys are like, they're ecstatic. They're like, oh, God, yeah. I'm like, well, give me a minute. Let me talk. I'm like, Mo, what the fuck you doing, man? No, you don't do this shit. I'm not going to. He's like, he looked at me and goes, no, I have to do this. I'm like, okay, man. So I actually have a picture of him being interviewed on Fox News, and I was able, I don't know how I got word, either sat phone or back to my mom, of course, Fox News fan, I roll. I'm like, hey, and she actually watched the interview with Muhammad. And of course, he said the right things, which were applicable to him. like, yeah, I care about this country. I'm thankful for the Americans being here, et cetera, which were true from his
Right.
point of view, but that was not indicative of everybody
Everybody
else.
else, right. Man, and so how was that piece going? Because obviously, the whole idle hands thing we've seen with Marines. Like, if you give them too much downtime, like shenanigans incur. What was like that for the Iraqis, where they're like,
Far worse.
yeah, okay,
So Marines usually get arrested. Iraqis kill each other. I wish I could. I'm sorry. It's dark as fuck. Usually by negligent discharge.
yeah,
But multiple. If I was to sit here and be like, all right, let me remember all the times they shot each other or they shot themselves in the foot. But one time in particular, back in Sadr City at Camp Cuervo, we get the call because y'all had radios on us. Hey, we got one of the Iraqis are dead at one of the outposts because they had to man all the outposts, all the guards. And literally, I am passing with my buddy Adam Collier. We got the radio call and we're passing these Iraqi trucks flying towards like the med, the surgical unit. And we're like, okay, let's turn around and find out what happened. And literally, they're pulling this guy in, and there's an Iraqi sitting there, and obviously he doesn't have a weapon, and he's waiting for his buddy who's, back with the docs. I go back with the docs, and doc's like, yeah, fucking shot in the chest. He's dead. And basically what had happened is that, these guys fuck around, and, there's no weapons discipline. We ended up, the guys we went into Fallujah with, we taught that stuff to them. But they fuck around, like poke each other in the chest with the barrel of the AK or lean the muzzle on their foot and pull the trigger. And that happened so many different times. So not even so much idle hands, but just the complete lack of any type of military discipline resulted in a lot of chaos.
Man. And then what was their morale like being... Like, was it as simple as, hey, as long as they're getting paid, they're in it? Or was there a sense of, like, what are we doing in this, like, in this Sunni shithole?
No, 100%. The pay is there and they're there.
Okay.
And we had problems with that in Fallujah, like in the city. Going through this interview in 2004, I forgot about this, but I don't want to say we're ready to riot, but they wanted to go on leave.
Yeah.
In Fallujah. Operation, and listening to myself 20 years ago, man, I'll give you a quote later, but I highlighted in here. I was, that was the ultimate, that was the last straw at the time, especially going through, knowing there were dead Marines, and these guys are asking about leave. Yeah.
You got nothing.
All you can do is laugh.
Yeah. Okay, so when is it that so you've had some discussions with some of the senior leadership, Marine Corps side. Is there any interaction? Are you having any interaction with Iraqi senior leadership on their end, or?
Yeah, sure. But the deal is very simple: is that they were not. So, as the advisors, excuse me, we were included obviously in the planning for the RCT, et cetera. But the OPSEC is so critical. Because as soon as you tell anything about operations or plans to an Iraqi, it's getting out to wherever.
Right.
So we all knew that. So what we told them as far as dates and times, everybody knew it was coming, but we were not talking scheme of maneuver with the Iraqis.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So you guys are sort of keepers of the grail on that stuff, and their senior leadership is fairly unaware of any specifics.
They just know they're getting thrown in the fire.
Okay. And then, so speaking of that, then thrown into the fire. So is it November 7th then you guys LD, or how does that, or what does November 6th look like then? You guys are still in your shanty town off to the side?
Yeah, we're in a van down by the river. And so, anecdotal personal experience, I remember so 7th was staging. I went through in detail. I'd have to look. I actually do remember I took down in the interview in 2004 the dates and exactly what happened. But pre-LD, it was two things anecdotal from my experience I remember. First, on that morning, there was like this thick fucking fog. We woke up and I remember just being around the guys and everybody's like chain smoking and like it's all in the air. And I'm like, well, fucking fog of war, gents. But that night before, I got sick as fuck. I was like super, like it just hit me, like some crud hit me. And First Sergeant Herb, God bless him. I'm like, he's me dragging ass. He's like, hey, take some of this shit. He had like a full bottle of NyQuil. He's like, hit this, you'll be fine. And thank you God, like I downed that bottle, got some decent sleep, and next day I was like,
Nice,
a little bit better. But so movement to the city, and as far as scheme and maneuver goes, this camp, if I remember correctly, was on I'm picturing Camp Fallujah, and then to the east was our shanty town, and then just northeast, all in the same general vicinity, was Bahia. So we had to go north on the route. I guess it was, I can't remember if it's Irish. Regardless, we had to go east. We were east of the city, and we had to go north and to our attack position, staging position, northeast of the city, which was east of the train station, all the way at the top of the city.
And that was your assembly area, or?
Yeah, I mean, for lack of a better term, like I guess our attack position,
Okay.
from which we were getting in with the vehicles and moving out across the tracks and going into the Jolan, which was the northwest side of the city.
And what is it that you understood as your guys' role?
I mean, our mission was pretty clear because we had talked with all the ops staff at RCT1 on what these guys were to do, and their mission, which was, to me at the time made sense, and it still does, was follow and trace of 3rd Battalion 1st Marines, and as they were clearing all these buildings, we're establishing a foothold, and we're doing the follow-on clearing, and we're holding,
Okay.
because looking back on it, it's such a weird thing because I went to military urban operations training course as a instructor prior to that. So all the fundamentals of fighting in a city from on the ground, I had a good understanding of. So I understand get a foothold, clear, and hold, because as soon as you clear, you get infiltrators back in, they're attacking you, and that 100% happened in Fallujah across the city. So that mission made sense to me, and it made sense as to something the Iraqis could do. So that was our mission on the northwest side under RCT1 for the fight.
Okay. So I guess, so we talked a little bit about that sort of ramp up. I know in other interviews we've had fairly mixed bag. There were some folks that had been partaking in rehearsals and so kind of knew scheme and maneuver. There are other folks that didn't realize it was kicking off until they woke up and saw this massive line of armored and wheeled vehicles staged ready to roll. What was it like for you guys? We talked about you're sort of out on the shanty town. Does someone just come and say, hey, be ready tomorrow, this is happening? Or?
No, we knew what was going on. At least the senior advisors knew it was when LD was. So because we had to get in position, get everybody squared away, it was probably less than 24 hours notice. And now here's the interesting thing, thinking about it over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
So what, like, it's been a while since I've read up on, either recounts of the battle, recounts of what was going on in the United States. But, what a lot of people don't remember or don't inject into the story is that, hey, man, it's election season. Fucking, it is literally November 2004.
Yeah.
And
Dude, that was completely lost on me too.
wasn't lost on me out there.
Yeah, no
I sure as
shit.
hell didn't get a fucking ballot either. But what wasn't lost on me, even though I wasn't, politically savvy, is that, hey, we waited until GW won before we hit the fucking button. And 100%, November
No
5th,
way, dude. I never even
2004,
thought of that.
100%. And if you think about it in the context, and like, I'm really not read in, but just looking at it in perspective, so Blackwater guys, that was April
Yeah.
of 2004,
Mhm.
right? Mattis is chomping at the bit. And here's what I think most likely was like, oh, well, hold on. We need another we need a bloodbath. Americans.
Right before election season.
He won and we went in. And look, I'm not giving my opinion on that because
Yeah.
it really didn't fucking matter. But part of the context for the story is, I think it's applicable, is that I don't think any of the Marines were really thinking about that.
Yeah.
You got young Marines getting ready to fucking possibly die. They're not thinking about, oh shit, I wonder who's going to win the election.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But now in context, it's like, okay, all right, we got this. All right, go ahead, click the leash on the Dobermans.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, honestly, that's the first time that's ever come up, and that's really fascinating.
It's just, I don't know what the word is. I don't know if it's coincidental to be like 20 years later.
Yeah, we're not trying to draw any causal conclusions,
And not
there,
even
but
any
just,
political, but like here we are, you're
Yeah.
20 years
No,
later.
I
We're in
mean,
the same.
It's coincidental enough that it's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Wow. Fucking fascinating. What was the morale of the Iraqis at this point? If, and I guess that's another thing I want to ask too, is like, how much are they interacting with the population? I know, and this is obviously years later. I was there in 7 and 8, so the established, even though clearly they're from Baghdad, everyone knew they were Shia. No one really in the village. I mean, they were very integrated. The guys I were from 117, who I think are Fallujah vets also, or maybe they were Ramadi vets. Anyways, they had a very good reputation. They were integrated into the village. Most of the folks there liked them. They were known as being a little more Marine-like because they had grown entirely under Marine advisorship. So they were kind of like, they were the hard, like, people could consider them to be like hard as woodpecker lips. And so when they said shit, people did shit, and people liked their discipline. They liked that they projected this view of Iraq's military. Obviously that wasn't something that happened overnight. So what were some of the seed beds of that in the early phases, in the sort of the pupa phase, as you were dealing with it before they went into their chrysalis?
Man, we referred to them as locusts because they descended upon everything and destroyed. And that's actually in the AAR that first started Herb. He literally, I was like, I'll send you this AAR. So to answer your question, some interesting interactions when it comes. So first off, completely removed from the population of Fallujah.
Okay.
So
they weren't like going out to the souk to get food or none of that.
Not
shit.
even close,
Okay.
man. Not even close. Now, the other also seemingly coincidental thing is that, like, hey, guess what's going on in like early November of 2004? Fucking Ramadan.
Mm-hmm.
So I forget. I'm probably going to seem like a adult for not understanding the Shia custom, but these guys were going ape shit. I forgot about this.
Because they had the day of Ashura, right?
I'll tell you what I
Yeah.
saw, and then you can tell me what it is that people can figure out. Like, oh, that dumb motherfucker didn't know this is going on. So there was, I'll give full context. There was a Marine Lieutenant Colonel at the time who just showed up, John Morris. Just talked to him recently. Amazing guy. He was actually out in Ramadi, and he came down from Blue Diamond to come like figure out what was going on and report back. So he was with us, and he was with us in Fallujah. It's basically me and him with my company. So we're getting our guys ready, and this one night in I forget, it was called probably Camp Iraqi or Camp whatever, but a shanty town.
Yeah.
These guys created a fucking bonfire, and they're going batshit. They're fucking getting fired up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah. All the Shia customs and traditions, and I remember them screaming Ali, and the lieutenant colonel was right in the mix. I think he became a Muslim that night. Pretty sure.
He went full apocalypse now. Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, jokingly.
Yeah,
He's like, I'm with you. Let's go. But literally, they're like, beating their chests and screaming in the air. And
no, they were fired up, huh?
Well, like on the surface,
Sure.
right? They're fired up. And it might have been that night, but I remember throughout the entirety, every now and then, one of the Iraqis would come up to me, and they would know enough English to say this: Fallujah, shit. Fallujah, bad. We go, we kill everyone. So, if that answers your question, but the deeper meaning and now looking at it through the context of ISIS and Fallujah and what that city is, they viewed that city as an evil city. And now reading the AARs from Fallujah and knowing what went on there throughout the entirety, the torture, the true aspect of Al Qaeda, actually, all of those things being there.
Yeah, the murder, intimidation.
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
they were right. And from their perspective, from this largely Shia group of, Iraqi army guys, they're like, this city's fucking evil. Yeah, let's go fucking level it. I mean, their words were true, but their hearts,
Yeah.
But that was the perspective from them, but
so did you start to sense a sense of nationalism or a sense of patriotism?
No, it was all Shia,
Okay.
Sunni.
I gotcha.
Tribalism.
Yeah,
it was just like this city, these motherfuckers, kill them all.
Yeah, they're the other guys. Yeah, man. Okay, so I guess going back then, so you head up to your attack position. I know in speaking with Colonel Buell that there were some issues. So the original, the anticipated penetration time was supposed to actually happen during the sort of the dusk hours, but they were having a hell of a time breaching. Were you guys just sort of waiting? Were you on call then at that point as well, or?
Yeah, so I actually I listened to Colonel Buell, some of his AR stuff on a different venue, but I know what you're talking about. And
yeah, there's a massive concrete barrier that he just couldn't breach.
Well, what it was the train tracks, if I remember correctly. And so on the north end of the city, because there was a train station at the north end of the city, and a literal CAX level obstacle that we had to clear.
Yeah.
They had to get through that. And having been through so many CAXs, I know you have, what I got to witness at that, where we were in the northeast end of the city was a full up fucking CAX. It was crazy to watch. It was weird.
Yeah.
Everything you remember, man.
Yeah.
WP for obscuration, MICLIX, fucking air integrated. I got to watch it all.
Yeah.
And it was fucking spectacle. I mean, it was crazy, right? But that's what we watched, I believe. They did kick it off, and then all the prep fires were that was also holy fucking shit, man. I mean, I've done CAXs. I've been in TAC, like tactical air control party teams, and watched integrated air stacked up, but nothing like this. Like, I mean, everything. One of the most memorable things was you'd walk out of, like, because we were so close to Fallujah, you walk out of a tent in the shanty town, and you just look up in the night sky and see this red stream of fucking rounds
Tracer
from
fire
out of nowhere. It was Basher. It was an AC 130. And they were just laying waste to everything that they thought could have been an IED or an obstacle or anything. And just fucking amazing fucking power.
And what did you guys actually get tactical vehicles at this point, or are you still rolling bongo trucks out?
We are, yeah. So the advisor aspect of it is that back in Solder City, I directed the Army staff, the Army staff NCOs go steal some shit. And these Army staff NCOs were looking at me. I'm like, hey, you guys got all this shit. You're wearing the right uniform. I want some up-armored fucking Humvees. Like, the shit they throw away is 10 times better than these Terracans and these Nissan trucks are driving in. So go and steal some shit. And you can fucking tell them I told you to do it. And I'll stand. I don't care. And we acquired some up-armored Humvees. So we had up-armored Humvees, and then we got a couple of Marine augments. Same thing every infantry battalion does. All the fucking turds. They just gave it, get out of here. Go with the advisors. And it was like, all right, yeah, come. So we had, God, I wish I remember their names, but they were like good Marines. They needed love. They needed acceptance and a family.
The Bad News Bears.
Yeah, the Bad News Bears, man. So we had Tommy Boy. I remember him. He was a little fat, but really excited. We had fucking Psycho on the 50 cal. So we had what we need. Well, we had what we needed. We had up armored Humvees. The Iraqis had their Leland trucks. They might have had a couple of Humvees, no 50 cals. But we had what we needed to get into the city, and for mobility.
So breach occurs. You guys are in. It's like nighttime now. Did that add some additional pucker factor for you? Because I can't imagine they had a lot of NVGs or anything.
No, so they didn't have dick, basically. Yeah. So when we moved into the city, so basically, if I remember the scheme and maneuver correctly, RCT1, Colonel Shupp. So at his disposal, what he did is he put 2-7 Cav Army unit with now General Rainey up front to just go lay fucking waste, and couldn't have picked the right couldn't have picked a better group of soldiers to fucking do it. What I think is left out, I think there's a book written on it about how Army led the fucking Battle of Fallujah, at least in the west side of the city, 2-7 Cav. And the crazy thing is, I was with these motherfuckers across the country. Every shithole that they wanted to put an Iraqi face on the battle, Najaf, 2-7 Cav. I'm like, these motherfuckers are fucking salty. So they were up front, and they kicked everything off and basically just stirring shit up. Colonel Buell behind with 3-1, literally just doing the fucking literal grunt work of clearing buildings, getting after it, not in tanks, obviously. Marine Tanks integrated, 2 companies from 2nd Tanks, Rob Bodish and Chris Myers. 2 different RCTs, saw those guys. By the way, I'm a tanker, so I'm not on a tank, not in the city, which is also hard to swallow because not only am I a tanker, but I did the first. Do you remember Project Metropolis?
Yeah, I totally remember Project Metropolis.
My platoon went there multiple times, and we literally came up with, not new, but we refined tank infantry integration in cities, and I'm like, anyway. So, but your question as far as like the chaos of nighttime. If I remember correctly, we followed through early morning, and we were just getting into the city, into the Jolan early morning. Probably, if it wasn't the 7th, it was the 8th.
And were you pretty comfortable with your role in the scheme maneuver, or were they still like, I don't really know what the fuck we're supposed to be doing right now?
No,
Okay.
I think because there was so much power on every side. On the peninsula, LAR had the city cordoned off on the west side. We had I think 1-8 on the east side. Like we were surrounded. Like we were kind of tail end Charlie. And I think I was like, we can do this. We can literally clear buildings and mop up, grab up all the munitions, grab up all that shit. Like that's a job we can do. Like in our minds, in my mind, we had a mission we could do. The guys could do it. The Iraqis could do it. So,
Well, if you wouldn't mind, then can you just start? Can you, as much in as much detail and as much length as you feel free, like just tell us about your experiences then.
Yeah, just getting into the city. I mean,
Yeah.
like, hopefully you got to put a mark on this. I guess probably what people are like, hey, tell us about fucking actually being in the goddamn city. Like, fucking. So I think for the most part, the first thing the first thing is that there's rounds going off all the time, like all the time. It's either incoming or outgoing. It's either small arms or indirect or like you don't know, especially me being there and not having, regiment. Like I could dial up regimental tack, in the Humvee, but I don't have that on me.
Right.
So I don't know what the fuck is going on.
What were you? What tack nets were you tracking?
Well, in
Like,
the Humvees,
did you have at
with
least ISR, like inter squad radio?
No, we had black gear. Basically, we had like just basically black gear radios to talk to each other, but we didn't have at the time we had 119s in the Humvee.
Okay.
So if I needed to get to a Humvee and talk to an adjacent unit, I could do that. But I'm not getting, hey, fire mission, heads up, motherfuckers, or hey, bashers on station. There's 40 Mike, 200 meters from position. You're just listening to it hit, feeling it, and listening for the incoming. And
so it's like Predator when they were just sort of like attacking that village, and you would just look and see something explode and then assume it's one of your guys, and then
I mean, it was a stark contrast to any other place. So Baghdad, Najaf, any other place, it was a stark contrast because, as crazy as it sounds, and even though I got hit while I was there, Fallujah was actually the safest place because you're just rolling heavy.
Yeah.
And you're rolling with everything.
Yeah.
It wasn't
the gloves are off.
Yeah, the gloves are off. You're not leading a convoy down the middle of fucking Sadr City and just taking rounds and then like that. We'd done that before. You're rolling in heavy with everything. So that was reassuring. And as rounds and there's explosions, rounds going off everywhere, as long as you observe and have situational awareness and know it's not your guys shooting at you or it's incoming small arms or you're literally in a tick, which that was a hard part to be like, hey, are we getting fucking ambushed here? Are we getting incoming? Are we there's no, it wasn't like, oh, we are in direct fucking that's the environment.
There was no linear battle.
That's 24/7.
Yeah.
Multiple times, like Lieutenant Colonel John Morris, I remember being on top of a roof with him and literally when the incoming it's completely distinguishable from anything else, especially when it's headed for you. And I remember being on top of a roof and we hear something that's headed for us and fucking I grabbed him, pushed him over. We fell over a fucking concrete wall, down one story, landed, and we are, and he and I are just like looking at each other like, nothing happened. We're alive. Okay, come on, let's keep going. So it was like that basically. Another time on top of a roof. This is all happening as for example, 3-1 is in like literally clearing rooms and dropping guys, and you're just trying to distinguish make sure who your adjacent units are, who the Iraqis are, because, we'd hole up at night. And for the most part, most of the operations did stop at night because the Marines on the RCT side, rightly so, weren't comfortable with like fucking maneuvering, clearing buildings, making sure they had their, all their control measures squared away all the way down at the fire team and squad level.
Right.
So, okay, let's hole up, let's fucking recollect, go firm, and get after it in the morning. And one of those nights, I remember, because, the Iraqis, it's like, for them, it's like party time. I'm like a fucking Doberman, like trying, like, and they're like, okay, we're done. Let's hang out and fucking see if we can get some TV. And, I'm like, fuck. So I remember being with the Iraqis during those times, one night, and there's a lull, and then you start hearing rounds go off. Colonel Morris comes running up the stairs, and he's like, we got Mooj out there. And as he gets to the top of the steps, he trips over a pack and falls over. I'm like, what the fuck? He's like, come on, let's go on the fucking roof. And I'm getting these guys up on the roof, and one of the many times where it's like, oh shit, this is fucking, that's incoming. And you hear rounds, and so small arms fire, like close, not far away. So Colonel Morris comes running up the stairs, trips over packs, he's yelling about Mooj. It's just, it's cartoon shit. We laugh about it now. He's like, there's Mooj out there. Let's go. Let's get on the roof. And I'm like, okay, fucking, it's probably just some it's our Iraqis shooting at us because they're out because they patrolled, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, they're just, who the fuck knows? We get up there and we get up to the top of the roof, and it's like, yep, that's somebody shooting at us. Yeah. Fucking, and we're behind a small wall. And the TTP as an advisor is when you're getting small arms, like, fired at you and you can't identify the source, the first thing is not to return fire, it's to confirm who the fuck it is, because you're gonna end up killing your own fucking people. And we Army Reserve guy, we had an incident, so I wasn't about to go like fucking on burst and just start, so we're on this roof, and rounds going over the head, and Lieutenant Colonel's like, those motherfuckers, he's getting pissed off. And I'm like, sir, just calm the fuck down. They're going to stop. We'll figure this out. He's like, no, we need to fucking, he's just not making sense. He pops over this wall. I'm like, you're going to get popped right in the fucking head. And he starts lighting off rounds, and the small arms fire quiets down, right? And I'm like, he's like, fuck, I don't know. It's like, we try and get contact with the patrol, the Iraqi patrol, and, they radio back. There's a couple of guys out there. There's 3 guys. They ran away, blah, blah, blah. You can't, it's like,
there's no way.
Get back into the fucking patrol base. It's like dealing with kids, right? So now the funny thing is like, no bullshit. I forgot about this until I listened to my interview from 20 years ago. The next patrol out, they did round up 3 motherfuckers.
No kidding.
Now, the cool thing about being out there and have all the resources is first thing they would do with detainees is just wipe them down with the gunpowder kits.
Right.
And these guys were hot. So, I mean, I guess, fucking somebody, just nonsense, right?
Right.
Now, listening to the other commanders talk about, folks circling, insurgents, circling back, picking up weapons, and I'm like, it all made sense, because what we were doing, our mission to clear and hold, was vital, because that's exactly what they did, because all we came across was nothing but munitions and AKs and fucking every type of weapon you could possibly imagine, just gathering it up. I got pictures of like Toyota trucks filled with weapons and munitions and shit. That city was a fucking, I mean, they were ready. Mm-hmm. And so that was just one instance of like just running into just randos as we're all the way up in the north behind 3-1, just different things. But the entire time was fucking chaos. And you weren't sure where you weren't sure where your next fucking thing was going to happen because so much incoming and outgoing and all that other shit. So,
and then so I think a lot of the heavy fighting, or what they call the heavy fighting, I hate to use that term because it's all, any fighting is heavy fighting, but the main part of it, I think historians have it at 6 days. But then it continues on, the last day, I think is, December 23rd, the official last day. What was your guys' role as sort of the kinetic started to ramp down a little bit?
Well, I didn't make it that far.
Oh.
Because on the 10th of November, so we're still in the Jolan in the Northwest, and all of what I just described is still going on. We're still clearing buildings and grabbing munitions. And on the 10th of November, extremely memorable because we woke up at dawn, before dawn. And when the sun came up, we're up on the roof again, and we hear the Marines hymn. Like, blasted out over the city on loudspeakers, and it's like, okay,
happy birthday!
That's fucking. I mean, what better place to be as a Marine than fucking in it, right?
Yeah.
With Marines, and it was like there was something that was like, just uplifting about like, all right, let's fucking continue, right? And we linked up. My first Sergeant Herb, who I mentioned a few times, was with a different company in a different area of a different sector. And when I linked up with him, I came back up, kind of like link up, figure out what was going on, talk through some shit, and then go back to your company and then continue. And the first I saw First Sergeant Herb, and he's like, "Did you hear about Conwell?" I'm like, nope. So Conwell was a Staff Sergeant. Conwell was an Army advisor, different Iraqi company, and he was killed. Something had happened where they were clearing a building, and the TTP for the insurgents, whatever you want to call them, was, hey, they're going to hide in the closet. They're going to wait till the Marines are in. And they're going to wait till the Marines are in the building, and they're just going to unload. And that's what I think happened with Conwell and his team, and he was killed. And we knew him. He was in the shanty town, hanging out in the fog of war, smoking cigarettes with us. So after being there for after being in Iraq for a long time and having, what I didn't go through was like being in Baghdad, which was fucking crazy. You're like on edge. You're just like, there's no way, like, when you're with Marines, I would imagine, like, in combat, like, I know, but when you're with Iraqis, you're just like, it's only a matter of time till they fucking kill me or it's only a matter of time in this fucking mess. And you start getting reports of other guys who are advisors who are dead, and you're like, fuck. So in the morning of the 10th, when I linked up with First Sergeant Herb, he told me about Conwell, and First Sergeant Herb had a screaming high and tight, and his
like
face,
Guile from Street Fighter,
worse face. If he was pissed off, like leather, like just quintessential Marine senior staff NCO, just a bad motherfucker, right? When I saw him, he was just like, he was not excited. You could see. And he and I had been through so much. He was the other guy who went to Solder City with me.
Yeah.
And we'd been through a lot of shit. And we also like to fuck with people. So we became kindred spirits and fucking with the Army. And I'm like, all right, man, we'll fucking figure it out. Like, we were both obviously not too stoked. And he took off with his company, and we were, I forget the intersection, all the names, Isaac, Henry, etc. But I walk in same situation. Like it's chaos. There's rounds incoming. There's rounds outgoing. There's, and I'm trying to get my company commander to get his guys circled back up, get back to our position to drill on, start moving forward to the next block. Excuse me. And I'm in this intersection close to a wall, and I feel something that is best described as like somebody, as if somebody hit you in the thigh with a baseball bat. And I'm like, I look down, and as I look down, as I look down, I actually hit the ground because I couldn't stand up. And my fucking helmet fell off. I didn't have it fucking secured. And I grabbed my helmet, made sure I had my M4 on me, and I backed up against the wall. And so as soon as I got to the wall, like, you're doing your, okay, what the fuck just, like, because it's not
You didn't
like,
hear anything.
right? It's not, because there's, the chaos is like, there's rounds going off everywhere. So you're not sure where that came from, what it was. It's not like, hey, there's an enemy combatant shooting at me. I need to find cover and concealment and return. Like, it wasn't like that. I was like, I just got something hit me. I'm like, well, this is shrapnel. This is something. I felt like the first thing that went through my mind, somebody threw a rock at me. Who the fuck threw a rock at me? And I crawled up against the wall, and no immediate threat like there. And I've got cover, and I've got what seems to be concealment. I just start figuring out, like, okay, where's the blood? And I had my leg holster on my thigh. And so I detached that, and I'm like, what the fuck? I couldn't find, it didn't seem like I was bleeding profusely. And then I found a hole and blood. I'm like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, okay. And there's no Americans around. It's just me and the Iraqis. And, they're just, they're not helping, And so I'm trying to basically figure out is that shrapnel? Is it in? I'm also trying to radio back to say, hey, I'm hit, I'm down, and what I forgot until I heard my interview was that before I met up with the first sergeant, I actually was on Regimental TAC 1 with the RCT 1 commander. He's like, hey, where are you at? I want to go come see the Iraqis. And I said, hey, we're over here. And that was the last transmission. And then I got hit. And as I'm trying to figure out like what's going on and where I got hit and how bad it is and what I need to do, I see the hole. I see blood. I don't see any exit wound. A small hole in my right thigh. And I see blood. Obviously, I do what all Marines do: pressure, etc., bandage. But there's no exit wound. And I'm like, well, what the? All right. And as I'm trying to like figure this out, Iraqis come up to me, and they got this water bottle, and they're like, hey, like they're trying to pour it on, and I'm like, what the fuck is in that? And it's like a dark colored liquid. I imagine it was iodine that they put in a water bottle. And so then Lieutenant Colonel Morris, actually, he shows up, and he recounts the story pretty well. He said, I smacked the bottle out of their hand. I was like, get that shit away from me and get me a doc. Fucking you motherfuckers are not coming near me.
With that brown water.
Yeah, like, yeah. I'm like, what is this, fucking dip spit? So, and now as I'm doing all that, now the funny thing is as I'm doing all that, Colonel Shupp ends up standing in front of me. Like, this is all within like less than maybe 2 minutes, and he's standing there, and I'll never forget, like, Colonel Shupp wore these like combat BCGs, he had these like Oakleys on, and he goes, hey, Skipper, I just talked to you on the radio. What happened? I'm like, I don't fucking know, sir. He's like, and he goes, no shit. He goes, well, you look like you're going to be okay, and you got some good birthday stories. Happy birthday, Marine. You're going to be all right. He takes off. He's got a couple of Marines that helped me out, and I got so I went back. I got in a Humvee, and they're like, they grabbed my shit, they grabbed my weapon, grabbed my rounds, grabbed my grenades, all my shit, and they put me in the Humvee, and I went back to Bravo Surgical at Camp Fallujah to go get shit squared away. And basically, what had happened was, I mean, still I don't know, maybe a ricochet, probably I don't know, something hit me. Well, something. It was a bullet. I got the bullet right over here. So AK-47 round, 7.62 by 39, hit me.
But it wasn't a direct shot. It was probably glancing off of something else. Or...
Yeah, I mean, that's my best guess, because I don't think there were any. I mean, I don't think there were any snipers that far north, you know, picking off random people, you know.
Yeah.
I have no idea. But I got the bullet. So, you know, nobody did any forensics on it. So I went back to Bravo Surgical, and as I went back to Bravo Surgical, two funny stories. These Marines, like, who took me back, 2 Marines in a Humvee, stopped at the fuel farm, you know, literally smoking at the fuel farm. And I get out, I can't walk. And I get out, I'm like, hey, can we go to Bravo Surgical? Because I want to figure out, like, you know, because as I'm laying there, you know, what's going through my mind is like, there doesn't, like, clearly not a mortal wound,
right.
But at the same time, it was right near my femoral artery.
Yep.
And I would have been dead if it had been the case. But what I was worried about at the time was, like, I wasn't bleeding profusely on the outside. Mm-hmm. But I also wasn't...
Could be hemorrhaging on the inside, yeah.
I wasn't seeing a lot of bruising, but I also didn't know.
Yeah.
So we pull up to the fuel farm,
like,
and
hey
I'm
guys,
like...
not for nothing.
I'm like, hey, can we go back? And they're just fucking... They knew they didn't give a fuck. So I go back to Bravo Surgical, and so back there was... being with those Marines in that room was, it was weird to look around and be like, oh, fuck, I'm the senior guy here. I need to make sure that I'm fucking talking to these guys. And, you know, mm-hmm. You're in fucking whatever, like, that fucking weird, shitty cloth, you know, they cut shit off or whatever. And so I'm trying to talk to these are all the guys that didn't get medevac to Germany. You know, they're fucked up, you know, but they're not missing limbs, mm-hmm. you know. So, mm-hmm. You know, I'm just walking around trying to, at the time, like, you know, because I forget exactly what happened, but the docs are like, yeah, we just got an X-ray. That's a bullet in there. We need to get it out. We'll get it out tomorrow. And in the meantime, I'm with all these guys, and I'm like, just talking to him, and I remember. So on the right of me was, I believe, Lance Corporal Slew. He was a tanker, got hit by an RPG. I think he was a gunner. And they get him off the tank. Tankers will correct me, but I think they had to get him out of the tank, but they needed to medevac him. So they pulled him, they put him on the turret, and Slew lit off a couple of 9mm rounds back into the city as a fuck you. So Slew was next to me. Yeah. And had all these other Marines and one soldier, right? I could tell. And I was like, hey, brother, what's your deal? You know, because it's like you're in prison. Yeah, right, what's your deal? No, I don't know. I got hit by another blah, blah. So he's like, well, fell off the back of a Bradley. And I'm like, hey, you better change your fucking story right quick, son. Like, it's not for me, man, but, like, they're gonna fuck you up. Like, figure it out, change your story, or shut the fuck up, or don't tell anybody that, man, because that's not gonna go over too well. So, fell off the back of a Bradley. So, anyway, I'm like, you know, they shoot you up with morphine, just fucking, and I remember, so the next day, they're like, okay, we're going to get the bullet out. And I remember going under, and I remember, you know, that's the only time you see females. And, of course, they hit you up with morphine, and they got different types of personalities that do different things under, you know, narcotics. Yeah. I just get happy and start hitting on
nurses and surgical assistants.
100%. And it was fun, and well, at least at the moment. And then I came to, and I'm like, "Hey, where's the bullet?" And they're like, I'm like, "Hey, I'm taking the fucking bullet. Give me the bullet, wherever it is. Go figure it out." And so I can't remember who brought it out to me, but they gave me the 7.62 bullet, and the doc wrote a note. And clearly, this doc had done this before, for other other guys.
Mhm.
Like, he wrote a note. He's like, "Hey, on November 10th, 2004, this 7.62 by 39 bullet was removed from right thigh, blah, 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 signed so and so, So I got that. And then it was easy. Like, I was incredibly lucky. And I'm thankful because I'm like, everything is like, I'm out of that shit. It's not like being with Marines. Like, I'm done with that fucking bullshit.
Mhm.
Like, I'm safe. And as I'm walking out, of Bravo Surgical to go back to the shanty town, I pass Nick Sims, who is another advisor, a captain on the other side of the city. And he's walking in. And I'm like, "Nick, what's going on, man?" And clearly he's fucking out of it. He's morphined up. And he's like, "Yeah, I just got hit." And, I'm like, he walks in. I'm like, and then the brigade, the Army colonel is actually there with me because he's visiting all his guys. And he's like, "Hey, here's a sat phone. Call your family." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "They're going to get a PCR. You better call them first." And I'm like, "Okay." So I call my mom. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm fine. I got hit, but everything's okay." And thank God I did, because the PCR actually said I got shot in the head.
Oh, jeez.
From my buddies that actually read PCRs.
Yeah.
When they called my mom, they told her I got medevac to Germany. So not true.
Yeah.
So thank God for Colonel
really.
Marcus de Oliveira, amazing soldier. And he knew enough to be like, "Call your family." But Nick went back in, and I'm like, I turned around. I'm like, I walk back in. I'm like, "Hey, where's Captain Sims?" And nobody fucking knows. And so I find him, and he's in this room, and he's sitting up, and his arm is kind of like wrapped up halfway or whatever. And he's just fucking out of it. I'm like, "Hey, man, what the fuck happened out there?" He's like, "Dude, we just got in contact, and these guys started drawing down on us. And I was drawing down on one guy, and I took two guys out, and this guy had a drop on me, and fucking got hit." And as he's talking to me, and I'm looking at him,
Mhm.
I look down at his hand, and his fingers are hanging off his fucking hand.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So he's got two fingers that are completely sawed off his fucking hand, but are hanging by a thread. But I'm trying to maintain eye contact with him and be like, "All right, man. Okay. All right." Because what had happened, knowing now, so he got shot in the chest. 2 AK rounds went through his hand and then hit him in the sappy plate. The sappy plate stopped it. He didn't describe that to me then, but that's what happened. But as he's talking to me, he's going, "I got to get back out there. The fucking guys, and I got to get back." I'm like, and he's saying this, I'm like, "Oh shit. I got to get back out there." I'm like, First Sergeant Herb, the last thing he heard was, "Conwell's dead. Captain DP got shot. You're out there on your fucking own." I'm like, "Oh, fuck." Yeah. I'm like, "All right, I got to get back out there." And I got a ride over to regimental headquarters. I'm like, "Hey, when's the next log trip? Let's fucking..." And they're like looking at me like a ghost. Kind of weird. They're like, so I took a log trip back out to the city. I think it was like the 12th. And fun log trip. I had no weapons, no 9mm, no M4, no rounds, nothing. And I remember getting back out into the Humvee. I'm like, "Hey," I grabbed the gunner. I'm like, "If shit goes down, I'm grabbing your fucking M4, okay?" So we get back out there, and I remember our advisor tack. I'm like, hey, dial up fucking Mustang 9 and tell him to come meet me at the train station. And first sergeant Herb. So literally, I'm standing out on the train station on the tracks. I'm like, hey, come get me. He's like, you okay? I'm like, yeah, come fucking get me, man. And he pulls up in a Humvee by himself. Rolls up in a Humvee. The door's halfway open. I'm standing out there with a thumbs up. He's like, get the fuck in. What are you doing, man? So, yeah, just a weird way to get fucking wounded and not very, not super, like, not like a Hollywood story. It's just like fucking weird shit that happens in a fucking city. But at that point in time, that was probably like the 11th, I think. Just picked up and carried on and continued to fucking,
Did you notice a decline in the kinetics, or, like, as you look at these dates, there's so much that, on this date this happened, and then end of hostilities was this date or whatever. But I mean, when you're there, I don't know if it's not like a light switch, right?
No, because different guys in the city were doing like way more intense stuff at that time. Sometimes it picked up, and as farther south that they went, the more hardcore fighters that they experienced.
Yeah, because they were doing all those feints and deception ops, right? So they had to. The way I understand it is the insurgents had expected it to be a south to north advance, and then you guys looped around and went north to south.
Yeah, all the hardcore motherfuckers are in the south. All the things you've read and heard about the Hell House, all that other stuff, that was way farther south.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the most part, for us, it was plenty of other crazy stories, not any type of Hell House room clearing and valor or anything like that, but it was basically just clear and hold, as far as we could go. So.
Just trying to keep folks from doubling back around.
Yep. Yeah, because a couple of regiments don't have the manpower to actually hold all those buildings, you know? And so for mop up, for all of that shit, like that's when you saw all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, that's when I had the interactions with the Kurds, and we just have these surreal moments where you're clearing buildings, you're clearing all this stuff, you're walking through rubble and apocalypse, basically.
Right.
And literally, one of the Kurds, I'm sitting there with First Sergeant Herb, and we're watching the Kurds kind of like figure out what's going on in this rubble, and it's crazy. There's bodies everywhere, etc. And we're watching about like 25 meters away, like one of these Kurds, steps over a dead body, looks at it, picks up a foot, starts talking into it like a telephone, shrugs, throws it over your shoulder, keeps walking. And it's like one of those moments where me and the first one are just like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah, that type of shit. So, but when I went back out afterwards, my tolerance was so fucking low for their bullshit. It was like they wouldn't clear buildings. They were tired. They wanted to get paid. I'm like, you guys haven't even been in the thick of what the Marines have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even want to fucking clear a goddamn building. I lost my shit multiple times. Yelling at these guys. Like in my interview, I said I never hit them, but I wanted to. So, but I mean, we were there all the way through December, Thanksgiving, just clearing up shit, grabbing weapons. It's a fucking blur. So,
man. Looking back now, I don't know. There's so many takeaways. 20 years later, we're in this interesting, almost like the Marine Corps that we first signed up to be a part of. where there aren't a lot of combat vets within the active duty ranks. There's not a lot of guys wearing uniform that have this kind of experience. What would you offer to today's Marines as takeaways from your experiences in Al Fajr?
It's a deep question, and I think that there are two aspects of that. First, looking at it through the lens of 20 years, especially what's happening in Iraq, Afghanistan, even as far back as Vietnam, and for the Marines, like the Marines, like the 3-1 Marines, like in the thick of evil, dealing with their buddies dying with them, all of that shit. The first thing is that there's purpose in that may not seem evident, and the Marine Corps and the military in general, the Marine Corps especially, is a paradox where you will have the opportunity to see to experience evil, but to experience it in the context of true camaraderie, true courage, and you can't get that anywhere else. And I've looked.
Yeah.
You can't get it anywhere else. It's kind of like God's joke or whatever. I don't understand what it is. I wouldn't join them. Like everything I talked about as far as like, you know, stacking Russians in my backyard, there's no fucking way I'd join the Marine Corps or the military right now. I'm too cognizant of what the world is and what war is to want to do that. So the first is like kind of like really that when Marines find themselves in the thick of whatever it is, you know, there is purpose. There is something in that you can't, even if you go find it. Inster Colinus Invenitor is an old Alchemag phrase, which means, I think, in the pit of shit is where you find the whatever it is, and you will never find it. You will never seek it unless you're actually in the cesspool. And for all those Marines who were there, the ones who speak about it, the ones who I've read about, the ones who I've talked to, the guys who have really been in the no bullshit, the ones who are my heroes are the ones who understand that they weren't there to. We're here to fight them here, so they don't come here. Like it wasn't about that. There was something deeper than that, and they transposed that into purpose and meaning in life. Then and now, 20 years later,
something more almost existential.
You're not gonna. I mean, it's not like you're gonna go seek to go clear buildings and watch your buddy bleed on you and die.
Mm-hmm.
But you're gonna. You know, if you have the right faith, if you have the right foundation, even then, if you can find it, there's going to be something in that you can't replace as a human being. And it's going to add to you. And then as it adds to you, it's going to add to the others you come in contact with. That's at a individual level, you know, like a really tactical level, if you will. But as a whole, you know, Fallujah, Iraq, everything, I don't know, man. It's weird. So Muhammad, my interpreter, actually, when I talked to him, he sent me some videos. He was in Fallujah, I think, in 20 shit. I don't know, after the ISIS shit, everything else. And he was like, "Hey, it's a different fucking city. It's I drove through and it was look at all these lights and all this shit. It's kind of crazy."
That is crazy.
Yeah. So I think that we as human beings strive for, what the fuck was I there for? Why did my buddies die? Why am I here? But it's not about necessarily that. I think if I was to recommend to Marines, whether they be a lance corporal or a colonel, it would be the stoic mindset. And I don't mean like straight face. I mean like, you are going to be thrown into situations where you have you don't have any say in where you are. But what you do and what you pull out of that is really what defines you, and how you influence others around you, and how you affect the situation is the most important. Because you can look at Iraq, and you can look at Afghanistan, you can look at Vietnam, and be like, holy shit, what an absolute complete fucking waste. But I can tell you this much, 2004, and I didn't even talk about, 3/4 of the entire other part of the deployment was something that I don't regret, and I would do again, even at my age, because I couldn't gain that type of life experience doing anything else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and to hear things like that from your linguist, that's gotta. I mean, I can only imagine of all of the shitty places I've been, if someone had sent me a video like, "Hey, check this place out now." I mean, you, without being a narcissist, you can't help but feel like I had something to do with that. Or at least maybe not the I-ness, like the Vic-ness of it, but the I-ness is in I was in the Marine Corps with other Marines. We were here, and now look at it.
Yeah. I wouldn't hinge anything on that, because that's a very not to be a dick, but that's a seemingly worldly view of like, oh, look at the good thing that I participated partook in, right?
I get that.
And
it's like, fickle.
No, I don't know. Like, especially in 2013, I was like, oh, great. Fucking everything every other Marine that, like, it's like, oh, great. Fucking ISIS took over. There's fucking Iran. Like, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck? I mean, amplify that by 1 million if you're a Vietnam vet, And, like, so I guess my point is, don't put all your stock in.
Look for something even bigger.
Look for something, which is what every Marine eventually comes to the conclusion is that it's really not about it's really not about the the national security, it is your brothers, right and left of you, and it sounds cliche, but there's something to that.
It's cliche for a reason, yeah.
But there's something that can't be taken away. It's truth. I was an isolated Marine with Iraqis, but when I passed Nick Sims and he told me I need to be fucking back out there, that was God telling me, like, hey, you got people back out there. You got first sergeant out there. Get the fuck back out there. What the fuck are you doing? And it hit, and I was like, got to get back out there. And it wasn't for securing Fallujah or, killing terrorists or fighting them over there so that we don't fight them after over here. It was like, their first sergeant is out there.
Yeah.
And the last thing that I talked to him about was Conwell is dead, and now he thinks he's fucking next. Let me get the fuck back out there now.
Yeah.
And there's something that God has instilled in us as love of our brothers to do that, and fuck, that's probably what the Marine Corps survived on.
Yeah, I think that's right. Well, man, thanks so much for sharing your accounts with us. Appreciate it.
Yep.
Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. You have heard the voices or contributions from Major Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Lichman, William Truding, and our guest. Ty Frazier is the editor, sound engineer, and technical producer. The Marine Corps Association is not an agency of the U.S. government. The opinions expressed in this episode are the personal views of the participants and do not reflect the official position of the United States Marine Corps, the Department of Defense, or the Marine Corps Association.